I call the Honourable Member John Boscawen.
Thank you, Mr Chair. This is a relatively short bill, and of course it's got wide-ranging provisions in that it deals with property offences, as we've just heard from Mr Chevelle, and it also deals with the treatment or the ill-treatment or lack of defence provided to children and vulnerable adults, sir. And I want to speak on the latter issue. The bill seeks to protect children and vulnerable adults, the elderly, the mentally handicapped, from assault, neglect and ill treatment by creating a liability for people who are not actively involved in the mistreatment but who have frequent contact with those people, whether it be the child or the vulnerable adult, and fail to protect them from mistreatment of others and of which they've got that knowledge, so that they are with these young children, they're with these vulnerable adults. They may not actively be involved in the mistreatment directly, but they are aware of it, and they fail to move to protect either those vulnerable children or those adults. And so we've heard extensive arguments in the House this evening in support of that. The ACT Party will be voting for this bill. As Mr Chevelle has just said, the Labour Party will be voting for the bill. But I wanted to take this opportunity, Mr Chair, to speak to an amendment in my name on behalf of the ACT Party. And sir, earlier this evening we were talking about the spending cap people's veto bill being as a consequence of the confidence and supply agreement that the ACT Party entered into with National soon after the general election. Well, sir, one of the early achievements of that confidence supply agreement, sir, was our three strikes legislation, which the National Party supported. And that legislation, sir, since introduction has been an outstanding success. And sir, my amendment deals, sir, with incorporating the provisions, the failure to protect a vulnerable child, the failure to protect a vulnerable adult, Mr Speaker, incorporating the provisions of that into the three strikes legislation. And specifically, what my SOP would do is to add a further clause to Clause 195 that would make it that would define someone who intentionally engages in conduct that's either likely to cause suffering, adverse effects, or any someone who intentionally engages in conduct that is likely to cause suffering, injury, adverse effects to health, or any mental disorder or disability to a child or vulnerable adult, or equally someone who engages in contact and omits to do an activity that brings that conduct to a halt. And sir, the penalty under subsection 1 of clause 195 would be to impose a penalty of 10 years imprisonment, or up to 10 years imprisonment. And sir, as the House would be aware, all offences that carry imprisonment terms of 7 years or more are defined to be a strike offence, or most of those sentences are defined to be a strike offence. And so the ACT Party believes that the three strikes legislation should apply to the provisions of the Crime Amendment Bill, and I've got a very simple amendment in my SOP providing for that. Sir, I mentioned earlier that the three strikes legislation had been an outstanding success, and I heard some sniggers from the opposition, and there you have them again, sir. Well, sir, if the opposition actually went out and spoken formally to the judiciary, because certainly we have feedback in the ACT Party that the judiciary do support the legislation, it is having an effect, and they are using the opportunity when a judge registers a conviction against someone for the first strike to remind the offender of the consequences of repeating that offence, sir. And so it has been a great success. It is having an impact on crime, and you can ignore it if you wish. You can ignore it if you wish, But I would suggest to you, members of the opposition, go and talk to
Order.
members of apologies, Mr. Chair. I would suggest, sir, to the members of the opposition, if they've got a genuine interest in crime and the causes of crime and how we can reduce the incidence of crime, Mr. Chair.
I call the honourable member Jamie Lee Ross.